From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm John Kennedy. A surprise strike by unionized airline mechanics at WestJet has left tens of thousands of passengers wondering whether they'll be able to reach their destinations this Canada Day long weekend. The airline canceled more than 150 flights after the strike was announced. Canadian Press reporter Brenda Molina-Navidad has more.
Edmonton resident Andrew Wheatley posted online asking if his flight on Sunday is in jeopardy. He says he supports the union's right to strike and that hopefully they get a good deal, but added at the same time he has to be at work Monday morning. A WestJet aircraft maintenance engineer picketing at Toronto Pearson International Airport says they want to force the airline to return to a respectful negotiation.
WestJet's mechanics walked off the job yesterday after Ottawa issued a ministerial order for binding arbitration. The Federal Labor Board minister says he's reviewing the order by the Canada Industrial Relations Board. Millions of Americans are already in the air ahead of the 4th of July holiday weekend. Talia Gibson is headed to Florida from Newark Liberty International Airport with her 7-year-old daughter. She says travel traffic hasn't been too bad.
Travel was pretty good getting here as long as we get up early and we make the flight.
The Transportation Security Administration expects to screen over 32 million individuals in airports this holiday weekend, up 5.4% from last year. Workers at Canada's two main railways have voted a second time to go on strike. The union says it wants to return to the bargaining table with a renewed strike mandate to try and reach a deal with CN and CPKC. The statement from CPKC says the railway is waiting to hear from the Canada Industrial Relations Board to weigh in on maintaining operations during a strike or lockout. An NDP member of Parliament has repaid part of the thousands of dollars for a Christmas-time trip for herself and family that was paid with public money. The federal New Democrats say Manitoba MP Nikki Ashton reimbursed $2,900 of the more than $17,000 cost. She says she's begun to repay the money to stop the death threats, harassment, and abuse targeted towards her and her family. French citizens living in Montreal are heading to the polls, but for France. France is allowing expats to cast ballots in France's parliamentary elections in 11 different districts. French citizens living in Montreal belong to the same district as French people living in the U.S., Turks and Caicos, the Cayman Islands, and Bermuda. Quebec is home to 260,000 French nationals, most of whom live in Montreal. Toronto's annual Pride Parade gets underway tomorrow. This weekend's celebration will mark the first Pride for many LGBTQ+ newcomers in the city. Zaya Arami says he's celebrating his first Pride after moving to Toronto last year to flee discrimination against his sexual orientation. It'll also be a first for Henry Bisaso, who left Uganda to escape persecution. Bisaso says being in Canada gives him the freedom to express himself without fear. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, there were several trades happening on day 2 of the NHL draft, with the Toronto Maple Leafs getting in on the action in hopes of addressing their blue line needs. Toronto secured the rights to defenseman Chris Tanev from the Dallas Stars for minor league forward Max Ellis and a 2026 7th-round pick. Tanev is set to hit unrestricted free agency when the market opens on Monday. Veteran reliever Tim Meza has been designated for assignment, and one-time closer Jordan Romano of Markham, Ontario, has been shut down by the Toronto Blue Jays. Meza's reassignment comes after a rough outing against the New York Yankees in yesterday's 16-5 loss in what's been a trying season for him. Romano will consult the doctors on Tuesday after he felt discomfort in his elbow. The Calgary Stampeders look to add the Winnipeg Blue Bombers' woes this season when the two teams meet at McMahon Stadium tonight. Winnipeg has gone 0-3 to start the season after making the last 4 Grey Cup games and winning 2 of them. From the Canadian Press, I'm John Kennedy.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.